back in studio. It's the first one of the new year. Happy New Year. It's a little late. We're already into February, which is where the heck does time go? I don't know about you, but the older I get, the faster time seems to go. I don't know. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's AI speeding up time or some crazy scientific thing. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm always excited to be here, but I'm extra excited today because I have Dan on. Dan from Barry AI. You're living and breathing AI right now. What's that like?
Hey, Mark, thanks so much for having me on the show. It is a crazy time to be alive, for sure.
No doubt. How much time before this all becomes, like a living entity inside a computer, and the machines start doing what they want, and it's Skynet.
I I am a tremendous sci-fi fan. So
yes, good. Okay, good.
I just hope that I'm on the right side at that point.
So you're building an AI, so they got to like that, right? You're one of the
yeah.
They're gonna like, you can help them in the beginning at least.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of talk about sort of doom and gloom and all of that. And look, I'm no stranger to that mentality, but what struck me about AI is I feel like we're at the dawn of an internet age.
Yeah.
Like when the internet first launched, you had all of these people online and talking, well, not online, but like on mainstream media and different public figures and talking heads being like, I think this is a fad. What is a website? Do you even need a website anyway? And what happened? The barrier to entry and the access and level of accessibility that provided early adopters moved from being oh wow, you're ahead of the curve because you're online, to you don't have a business because you're not online. And I feel like, go ahead.
And like the breakneck speeds that the information transfer, like just the information transfer of not only just data but knowledge. Like you want to know anything, you have it at your fingertips now, right? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really is.
And I've had an amazing time. So I dabble in Adobe. Adobe's got a new they've launched Firefly, which is there's all sorts of AI tools within creating things now. It's unreal. And then obviously ChatGPT has been I honestly at this point I don't know, it saves me so much time. I fear, the time that it becomes, a living and breathing thing. Maybe not breathing. They don't breathe. They wouldn't breathe.
That's the more terrifying part.
Yeah, they just they'll seek out energy sources and lock them up. And anyways.
Yeah, no, Mark, the saving time aspect is something that for sure, if you haven't played around, like if anybody is listening to this and hasn't played around with ChatGPT and OpenAI, I highly recommend setting aside just a half hour to do so.
Yeah.
Because it will blow your mind. But the downside in its current iteration with ChatGPT is that it's only accessible through their terminal,
right?
And on a one-to-one basis. And so that's really what we've endeavored to fix with Barry and Barry AI. Is it's built on top of ChatGPT. It runs on GPT-4. So as OpenAI and ChatGPT improves, all of our customers' pipelines improve.
Yeah.
But the benefit of it is that now you're able to have that interaction take place between the AI and your customer over text message, over Instagram direct message, over Facebook, that sort of thing. So it's really this is why I say we're in sort of a dawn of the internet age time period, because it's opening up the accessibility to this new technology to really everybody.
It's unreal. Yeah. It's it can open, what do they call it? It's an open link that you can just attach ChatGPT to really anything at this point, right? It's the open API, right?
Yep.
It's pretty incredible. Like, you're seeing all sorts of different things popping up, and it's just a matter of time before you fire up your car and it's kind of telling you, you know, it already knows that, you know, where you're going to go get your coffee. You might not want to go to this Starbucks. You might want to try out this Starbucks today because there's a roadblock here or whatever, right? And it's unreal. We'll get into this. I want to get into Barry AI a little bit more, or more in depth. But let's hear a little bit about you. I want to know about your journey. So I see that you've spent some time in FormStack, and that's a great software set as well. A little bit about your journey. How did you get to this point? Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, Mark, it's a really good question. So I'll try and be as succinct as possible and give you the quick back of the baseball card.
Yeah.
So I have a technical background and sort of classically trained in accounting and finance from the technology side. So I went to grad school and got a graduate degree in quantitative finance, so basically programming financial trading algorithms for hedge funds. And that was the direction that I was headed. And just because of a love of small business, having grown up in a military household and moving all around the United States as a youth, and a love of economics and seeing this disturbing trend where small businesses continue to dwindle as a percentage of GDP here domestically in the United States, I sort of left that world and moved into the small business technology world. So started at a company called Signpost. It was automated remarketing software for local brick and mortar businesses, and was there for about 4 years. Got a really good understanding of the pains and woes and struggles of small business owners. I feel like I've talked to 20,000 small businesses at this point, primarily on the healthcare side. And then from there, transitioned into FormStack, which I know we're both familiar with, as having some really great digital intake tools.
It's awesome. What would you argue are like the top 3 challenges that these small medical clinics are dealing with? You know, and from a front end perspective.
Yeah. So front end it's a really great question. So we in the industry
I used ChatGPT to write that question. I'm just kidding. That's for me. Sorry, I derailed you. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good, Mark. It's a really great question. So within the industry, and I look at it as sort of top of funnel, right? So the tofu, how do you get more people into your practice? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we're talking about a clinical practice or, you know, a local bike shop. There's only 2 ways in which you can grow the practice, and that's to get more patients or make them worth more. And if we can distill it down to those 2 things, our tasks actually become incredibly simple when it comes to growth. When it comes to maximizing the number of customers and the number of patients, so grow the amount of customers and patients, that's where we have to look at the top of the funnel. What's our funnel into the practice? And the 3 biggest drivers there are your reach out rate, your response rate, and your conversion rate.
Right.
And so how do I make sure that more people reach out to me about my services? How do I make sure that I respond as quickly as possible? And how do I make sure that I convert as many of those people who I'm able to respond and talk with? Sort of the general idea.
And keeping them coming back that's how you grow, right? Right. Especially in the dental industry when, you know, we're looking at, standard of care every 6 months. You're coming in for that cleaning, and you're right. So like all the growing that scope of practice is major too. There's some data out that 3/4 of the dental practices is you know, the single units, 1 tooth restorative. But you know, when the patient comes through the door, and this is kind of how we view it, is like, first off is, how much did it cost you per new patient? What's the cost on essentially everything that you're spending money on to bring that patient in? And then what's your standard of care? What are these folks going through once they get into the practice? And that's obviously dependent on the clinician and the practice and their scope of practice. But so I ramble. I go off on tangents.
No, you're good. Let me jump in there because I'm so glad that you brought this up about like cost of acquiring a customer, cost of acquiring a patient, because this is something that as you start to break out the model, like especially for clinicians, like you guys, you went to dental school and you have a phenomenal skill set. And then on top of that, you have to learn how to lead and inspire and manage a team. And then, oh, by the way, we've got to somehow figure out how to bring new people in. Like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. And you've got the added challenge of like, you're a small business owner, so it's all up to you. And then you go home and you have a family that you have to take care of and maintain those relationships, because that's the whole reason why you do the thing in the first place. So the big thing that we see a lot of times where like the most expensive leak, I guess you would call it, from a marketing and growth spend is in that top of funnel. Because most of the time, once you've gotten somebody to come in and have an experience with you, most clinicians, I would argue, say, once people come in and they experience our practice and our staff, which we work so hard to train, they tend to come back. And great. And there's a ton of like patient recall and patient reactivation software out there, ourselves included, that can help maximize the amount of repeats and recalls that you have. Mm-hmm. But on the top of funnel stuff, let's take a simple example. If you spend $10,000 in marketing and advertising, assuming, and this is a big assumption, that every single person that you put that in front of from an eyes and ears standpoint actually engages. So they reach out, they click on the ad, they become a lead, they call into the practice, right? Mm-hmm. Taking those aside, I don't know what the case is in Canada, but here domestically in the United States, there's a 35% unanswered call ratio during business hours for inbound calls.
I'm going to bring up some stats here. I put together this post back last year, 2023. Oh, look at that!
I did 2 thumbs up and I got fireworks. So
how did you do that?
Clearly, this software was not made for Italians, man. I can't talk with my hands.
That's crazy. I didn't know I did it. Like, wait, I learned something. Yeah. Do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Okay. That must've been an update in the software. Anyway, so my mind is blown right now. So here we go. If you can see this, this is what we're looking at for the dental practice. So, this is a firm down in your neck of the woods, actually, that put this together. Out of 12,617 calls, the percentage that went to voicemail, 35%. The staff members that asked for the caller's name, only 5.7%. Staff only made out of like 4.2% made an attempt to schedule. And this is like, we go skip down to the bottom here. And this is like, from a marketing standpoint, this is just like, oh, it makes me sad.
Yeah.
There only 1.4% of the calls were asked, where did they hear about the practice? And that's, it breaks my heart. I can't tell you.
That is...
Because how are you measuring ROI on what you're spending if you don't have the pulse of these things?
Here's the thing that should absolutely terrify every practice owner who's listening to this. Of that total volume of 12,000 plus calls, 35% of which go to voicemail during business hours. During business hours, insane.
Yes, that is. Anyways, yeah.
The terrifying aspect of this is that the number of calls will continue to drop precipitously over the coming years, because my generation, for whatever reason, is terrified of phone calls.
Oh yeah.
We would much rather prefer to text,
Yes.
direct message, send an email, or online book.
Yes.
Like take all of the other stuff out. So that's what's really critical. If you spend $10,000 on marketing and advertising and you assume that every single person clicks through and calls, and 35% of those calls during business hours go unanswered, and then what we've seen is that another 50% of inbound calls from prospects that are not doctor or patient referrals, but true marketing leads,
Mm-hmm.
only 50% of those get converted,
I know.
which means like on a $10,000 marketing spend, you are wasting $6,500
Yeah.
because of that fall off rate. So can any marketing be effective? No.
It makes me sad. It makes me sad, Dan. Like I like the amount of effort and work that goes in. This is what we live and breathe every day, marketing practices. And it's, yeah. And we get it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, listen, let's not throw blame here. Let's not point fingers. Like the front end team is, they're usually understaffed. They're amazing people. They're the heartbeat of the practice. So we're not throwing stones at the front end here. We're just saying with the volume of leads, coming in through the front of the practice with the marketing spend, without a piece of technology in place to help automate and help address that void, they're going to be missed. Even with said software in place, they're still going to be missed. But during working hours, 35% of calls are going to voicemail. It makes me just, what do we do?
Yeah. So, well, that's a great segue.
Hey, I understand why you put this Barry AI thing together. There you go.
Yeah. So, and again, I want to reiterate what you just said. Like, in no way, shape, or form am I blaming the front desk, the staff, or the practice owner, because, like, again, going back to my background, I've ate, slept, and breathed small business for the last decade. I know, and and our clients know that the most important patient is the one right in front of them.
Yeah, it's their patient facing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, if your front desk is talking to a patient who's in your freaking lobby, you should let that call go to voicemail.
Yeah.
But you need to have some sort of follow-up process that doesn't take away from time from your, well, there we go with the emojis again. But
how are you doing this?
I don't know. It's like the most annoying, helpful bug that these conferences are like, yeah. Anyway,
I think the AI they're already assisting you.
I don't find that helpful, but hopefully the stuff that we've built for folks is helpful. So, but yeah, back to the point, like if that call goes unanswered and then there's no follow-up, that's where the real loss happens, because any step that you take as a practice needs to, well, I'll take a step back here. At the end of the day, Barry AI and Barry Technologies, our stated mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurial families do the basics better. Time and time again, what we've seen is that the only difference between a local single location practice and the Aspen Dentals of the world or the multinational franchises or these big conglomerates is it's not the technology, it's not the funding, it's not the marketing campaigns. They just have invested in systems that help them do the basics better.
Systems. Absolutely. Like, yes. I can't even add any more to that. Like how crucial systems are to dental practices. It's worth somebody in place, like that role alone, like practice manager. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So let's get to the basics here. Like where does Barry AI start, and where's the guts of it, and what does it lead to?
It's a great question. So I'll talk about the nuts and bolts here, and if you'd like at this point to share the website, feel free. But
Sure.
let's use the example of your front desk talking to a patient in the lobby and an inbound call, what we were just talking about, normally going to voicemail. Automatically, when that takes place, our system has at all levels of our service what we call missed call text back, where for every single missed and unanswered call, the practice software will automatically, and this is Barry, usebarry.com, Barry will automatically send a text to that inbound number saying, hey, so sorry we missed your call. How can I help? Just to be able to start the conversation. Because most of the time when people are reaching out to a practice, they've got a gap in their work schedule. It's their time to research 5 or 10 practices. You have to be the first one to respond or you miss out on the opportunity. Then from there, we actually have an AI that's built on top of ChatGPT that will interact back and forth with that patient, qualify them based off of criteria that you give us that we build into the model, and then schedule them on your new patient calendar. So that's the high level idea. There's a few big takeaways here, but I want to pause for any sort of like direction or response you have.
Yeah, no, it's, do we, I think at this point, you put a little demo to, like I just saw it, like you put a little demo together on the site here. I think let's play that just to give the folks
Okay.
a good idea. I know you're changing it up, so I don't know if it's making you cringe that we're showing maybe an outdated thing already, but I'm sure you're going to probably change it the following weekend again, how quickly things change. Right?
Yeah, no, you're good.
All
Yeah,
right,
let's go ahead and play it.
let's take a look. Oops.
Cool. So, hey Dan, this is Barry with Dentistry. Spot, saw your request. I just need to ask a couple questions before I get you scheduled. Is that all right? I'll try and trip it up as best I can. I'll just send back a thumbs up emoji. So again, imagine that I, as a patient, clicked on a Facebook ad online about getting aligners or Invisalign, and I got a text like this: "Hey, I saw your request. I just need to ask a couple questions before I get you scheduled. Is that all right?" And then I respond with a thumbs up. Cool. So, Barry, as an AI, responded. Are you looking for a routine checkup, or do you have a specific dental concern? In practice, guys, this would be customized to the aligner use case that I just mentioned, especially if we're running the ad stop. Actually, let's change it up. Curious if there are, does this guy do veneers? Looks like he does. Cool. So let's say my friend just got veneers from y'all. Leave the question mark off that to make sure that it's really working hard to recognize the type of question. And again, we can customize this for any type of procedure. Got a Google ad campaign for emergency dentistry. This is a really great way to triage those leads and get them connected to somebody. And again, this is going to work over SMS, Instagram direct message, Facebook messaging, WhatsApp in the future, but just to give you guys an idea of how many different channels there is. So we got a response. That's fantastic to hear. We offer both composite and porcelain veneers. Both types have their own benefit, with composite veneers being less invasive and more cost effective, while porcelain veneers are more durable and have a longer lifespan. That's cool. We didn't tell it to do any of that. Obviously, we've trained Barry in like generic dental stuff, but I'm curious if it talks about the. All right, cool. So we've got some of that same exact language that we just listed for the response. Let's do. Sure. I'm gonna misspell this. I'll type fast just to learn more. Again, not like a super emphatic yes, some misspelling, really trying to test Barry and see if he's up to par. So at this point, he's indexed the response. He's thinking about the most appropriate response based off of the info that he gathered from the website. Perfect. Let's get you scheduled for a consultation. Do you prefer mornings or afternoons? So I'm going to try and really trip him up right now. So again, I am not this person, but let's pretend that I'm a mom and I am going to say, yeah, I'm interested in purple implant. So probably mornings. I'm using this specifically because Crowley is not mechanical, and using after to try and trip Barry up so that he thinks that I'm talking about the afternoons instead of the morning. But let's see if it works.
Poor Barry.
Mornings it is. We have a slot available, so I'm recording this.
Yeah, I mean he's basically employee of the month every month. He's working hard.
As our response and see if that works. Perfect. And there we go. Awesome. Your appointment is set for Thursday, November 9th at 10 a.m. Here's the links. This is just set to Eastern time just because Barry Technologies were based on the East Coast. In practice, this would be set for practice, unintended. And then these would actually be live feeds as that appointment dynamically to that patient's calendar. This is a huge gap I see a lot of folks doing, is that there are tons of ways to book people on their practice account, but they don't make it easy for the patients to book it on the calendar that they run their lives on. So that's something that I thought
All right. That's cool. I got to laugh too. Like when I went through the demo, I really give Barry a hard time. Like I just threw some curveballs to see what, and I was like, holy smokes, this thing is pretty damn amazing. Like what a world we live in. It's unreal. Yeah. Anyways, I'm blown away by it too. So here's my next question. What sort of connectivity do we have to practice management software at this point?
It's a great question. So, and yeah, that demo will be getting updated over the course of the next couple of weeks. But
another question. What are we missing out of that demo too?
So
y'all,
again, the big idea. Yeah.
I'm probably going to add this.
Yeah. Tell me you went to the University of Alabama without telling me you went to the University of Alabama. No, but I think the big takeaway here, right, is that Barry is about 70 cents an hour to operate. Never takes a break, never takes a vacation. And it doesn't matter if it's business hours or 3 a.m, if he's talking to one lead that comes in or 20, he's just as effective. And because of the way in which we onboard a practice by scraping their website, and again, all the more reason to use your guys' microsites, that allows us to build the back end to be custom tailored to that practice and not just a generic dental bot. So that's the big idea. As far as what's coming next, there's a ton of stuff that we do on the back end to make sure that once the patient has actually booked on a calendar and comes in, we make it idiot proof to get a 5-star review online to make sure that your SEO gets taken care of and all that. Remind me, sorry, Mark, what was your original question?
Yeah. Connectivity to practice management software. So is it pulling calendar from whatever practice management they're using?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first 6 months of our company, we spent an inordinate amount of time trying to build dedicated two-way syncs with all the big providers, right? So your EagleSoft, your Open Dental, your Dentrix. And unfortunately, a lot of those big players, I think, saw one Steve Jobs keynote back in the day and decided that they were going to build a closed ecosystem. And the only way to be able to get access to their SDK, their software development kit, is to pay like a quarterly tech partner retainer.
Sure.
And then continue to pay every single time it updates. And I don't need to tell you, there's 1,000,001 different practice management softwares out there just in the dental space.
Yes.
So the route that we've tried to take, or that we are taking to make this faster to onboard and get immediate value, focusing on that top of funnel front end aspect, is to simply rely on integrations with Google and Outlook. Dentrix Ascend or most of these other providers will have an integration to Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar. And so when we onboard a practice, our typical process is to create calendars for each chair or bay that they have at their practice, and then one generic lump sum new patient calendar.
Nice.
And dependent upon the ad campaign that you guys may be running that we're tying into on the back end to schedule patients for that particular treatment, we'll directly schedule onto that respective Google or Outlook calendar, which will then correspond to the practice management software. But this is an important point to note. All of the SMS texting, all of the data that we store within Barry, everything is HIPAA compliant. I know that's Canada has its own thing, but
it's PIPA, but same. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that we take pretty seriously.
Cool. Yeah, that's amazing. And again, like if you're not using a tool like this in your practice, you're kind of missing out, really. Thoughts? Where does it go from here? What's sort of your next steps? What's your what add-ons are coming up?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So we have some stuff built out already for dental practices. We've taken our time to work and pilot this program with a few local practices here in Atlanta and learn, what do you guys prefer from a scheduling confirmation sequence, a full 365 nurture sequence to make sure that we can get not just patient recalls, but what sort of upsells do you have in your practice, right? This is the step 2 of how to grow a practice that I talked about before. You get more patients or you make them worth more. Don't just have people come in for cleanings. We have some practices that we work with who, in addition to teeth whitening, offer Botox. Mm-hmm. And so we segment their list by, female patients between 35 and 60, and proactively send out a campaign that says via text message, hey, you've got a cleaning scheduled 4 months from now. Do you want to get Botox the same time that you're in the chair? And immediately get a ton of cash flow. So that kind of stuff is actually already built into a sort of preloaded snapshot that we add to anybody who gets on our pro plan, which is what the Barry AI system is. Mm-hmm. And then as far as next steps, we've got some pretty exciting options for your listeners. So I don't know if that's the right time to talk about that or maybe later.
If you've got it, we can talk about it right now. If you're, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So again, we really love what you guys are doing, especially with the microsites and some of the ads that you guys run is really great. And we want to make sure that those can be as effective as possible. So want to get Barry in as many hands as we can, particularly with your clients. So this will air sometime next week. So within 30 days of this podcast airing, the first 50 people to sign up get 25% off Barry's Pro package, which is what includes Barry AI and all the pre-built nurture cadences that I mentioned. They'll get 25% off for life.
That's amazing. You told me before. That's like, are you sure you want to do that? For life? All right.
You
might be, you might regret that.
I know. So first 30 days, the first 50 people to take advantage of it. But this is again, where having moved around so much growing up and really seeing the heartbeat of a country relying on the small business owners, I'd be remiss if I didn't do this right from the start. So if you go to the website, useberry.com, select the pro plan, monthly or annual upfront. So if you do the annual one, you could actually get 37.5% off because we already give you 2 months for free. And then just use code DOD podcast, Dentist on Demand, DOD podcast, all caps, all one word, and you'll get 25% off for life.
Amazing. Cool. Yeah. We'll make sure that that's in the description below. So final question. What's your favorite sci-fi movie?
Oh, this is
top 3.
In case you can't tell by my reaction, this is a question that goes very deep for me.
Sorry. This is like the most important question right here, apparently.
Yeah. So I think Contact is a masterpiece. I think Arrival asks a lot of questions about the human condition, but I have a hard time disliking anything about Star Wars: A New Hope.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll get along. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Dan. I'm looking forward to seeing the future of Barry AI and taking off. This tool makes so much sense to me. It's using all the latest technology with AI, and if you're not on board with this stuff, again, you're missing out. Any final thoughts before we shut her down here, y'all?
Don't be intimidated. We do a 45-minute to an hour-long video onboard call with every single person who starts. And we've got a full help library and 35 support reps standing by 24/7. So it's our support. We have Barry chat for ourselves, but we've actually employed about 35 people to stay on chat and Zoom 24/7 to answer any questions.
And they're alive. They're real people?
Yeah. They're real people based here, Western time zone. So you'll get a human.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Marc.